topic is the anatomy of kidney, the basics mainly, and let's get into it. First of all, the position of the kidney. The both kidneys are located on the each side of vertebral column from T12 to L3 vertebra, and the right kidney is slightly lower, about by 1.5 inch than the left kidney. As you can see here, it starts from the T12 and till L3, and the right kidney, you can appreciate here, is lower than the left one. Okay, the next point I need to highlight is the anterior relations of the kidney, the structures or organs that are present on the ventral aspect of kidney, and these are slightly different from right and left kidneys. First of all, the left kidney. On the upper part of the left kidney, on the upper medial aspect, there is the adrenal glands, the suprarenal area, okay, here, and on the upper lateral aspect is the splenic area, as the spleen is present in the left side of the body, and on the middle aspect is the gastric impression or the stomach. So you need to remember 3S till now: the suprarenal area, the stomach area, and the splenic area. And the other thing is the splenic artery is also routing from the abdominal aorta, from the celiac trunk. Also, we can appreciate the splenic artery here. And coming to the lower part is the body of the pancreas. Here you can see that it's mainly the body, because the tail is in the hilum of the spleen, and the concavity and the head of the pancreas is in the concavity of the duodenum. Coming to the lower part is the transverse colon, the some part of the transverse colon, the left colic flexure, and the descending colon. Also, the some jejunal impression, the small intestine can be seen. On the right kidney, the things are slightly different. The suprarenal area or the suprarenal gland is same on the upper medial aspect. As you can say this, you can see this one is the medial part. So this one is suprarenal area, and on the hilum of the kidney, or we can say on the middle part, on the medial aspect, is the duodenal part, mainly the descending part of the duodenum, and the right lobe of the liver. This one is the hepatic area. On the ventral aspect is the right lobe of the liver. And coming to the bottom, here is the ascending colon. As in the left there was descending colon, left colic flexure, so on the right there must be right colic flexure, and some part of the transverse colon as well. So these are some anterior like aspects of the kidney, the structures which are present on the ventral aspect. So you can revise again from here. Just need to remember here the 4S and the pancreas and the transverse colon, descending colon. On the right, the liver is the main part and the descending part of duodenum. Okay. Like the anterior relations, there must be also posterior relations of the kidney. Just need to remember there are three main muscles which are present on the posterior aspect. The medial most is the psoas major. A psoas major muscle originates from the lumbar vertebra, and it inserts into the femur, the trochanters of the femur. It is on the medial aspect, but on the posterior side. On the middle part is the quadratus lumborum, and on the lateral is the transversus abdominis or transverse abdominis. Just need to remember it in the sequence, like middle, medial, and to the lateral. Medial is psoas major, the middle is lumborum, quadratus lumborum, and the lateral one is the transverse abdominis muscle. Okay, and in the notes or description, the same thing is written, but also some nerves like subcostal vessels which are originating below the ribs, because this is subcostal, and iliohypogastric nerve and ilioinguinal nerve, which are the part of lumbar plexus. Okay, these are also originating in between the quadratus lumborum and the kidney. Here you can see in the diagram that these nerves are in between, or we can say in other words that kidney is separated by the quadratus lumborum by these nerves, ilioinguinal and iliohypogastric nerve. Okay, and this one is the posterior relations of the kidney. Just remember three muscles: vas major, lumborum, and transverse abdominis. Okay, then we will talk about the coverings of the kidney. There are mainly four coverings of the kidney. Just remember it in order. First is the kidney, of course, the layer or the covering or the capsule, which is in the intimate relation with the kidney, is known as the kidney capsule or renal capsule or fibrous capsule. It is adherent to the kidney, like the pia mater hugs the brain. So just like that, it hugs the kidney. And moving away is the perirenal fat. Peri means surrounding. This one, the green one. This one is the perirenal or perinephric fat, and it is around the fibrous capsule. First is fibrous capsule, then is the perirenal or perinephric fat. Away from the perirenal fat is the renal fascia, the red one. This one. The red one is the renal fascia, and don't confuse it with the other names because it has synonyms like fascia of Girota or Zucker-Kandel's fascia. These are also names of renal fascia, and it is fascia of the kidney, but it also encloses the suprarenal glands. Okay, not only the kidney but also the gland on the top of the kidney, which are like hat structures. um, on the posterior aspect there is a small amount of fat which is known as retroperitoneal fat, and this is pararenal fat. Don't confuse it with the perirenal fat or perinephric fat, which is in the green. And this one, like in the lightish pink color or dark pink, this one is pararenal fat. Just go with the order. First is the kidney. Adherent to the kidney is fibrous capsule, and then is the perinephric fat, and then is the renal fascia, which is known as Zucker-Kandel's fascia, and on the retroperitoneal part is the pararenal fat. Okay, and the pararenal fat is not present on the anterior aspect, as you can see here, only on the posterior aspect. The same thing is shown by this diagram. First is the renal capsule, then perirenal fat, then renal fascia, then pararenal fat. Okay. Just want to highlight some internal structures of the kidney. As you all know that kidney is consist of two main parts, the cortex and the medulla. The cortex is the outer part and the medulla is the inner part of the kidney. The cortex contains mainly the tubules, not the collecting ducts, but the tubules like proximal and distal convoluted tubules are present in the cortex, and in the medulla there are collecting ducts and the pyramids. The pyramids are like cone shaped structures which are in the medulla of the kidney, the apex, because the pyramid or the triangle has a base and an apex. So the apex is called as the renal papilla, and flowing into the renal papilla is the collecting tubules, opening into the renal papilla of the pyramid, and it is in the apex, not the base, because base is directing towards the cortex. On the papilla of the renal pyramids is the opening of the collecting tubules. The papilla forms minor calyces. There are approximately 8 to 10 minor calyces. Like renal calyces are like structures which are maybe bundles of papilla of the pyramids, and the minor and major. Minor are 8 to 10 in number, and the minor fuse to form major calyces, which are about 2 to 3 in number. Okay, then the major calyces unite to form the renal pelvis, and the renal pelvis continues to form the ureter, and the structure is both same in the both kidneys. Okay, The other thing is the renal columns. Renal columns are the cortex which is extending in between the pyramids into the medulla. Like these are the columns we can see here. This is the column. This one is renal column. This one is also a renal column. It is the cortex extending into the medulla, while the medullary rays are the bases of the renal pyramids into the cortex. This one. These are like striations. Striations means the rays or which are like alternating light and dark bands, striations, as we can see in skeletal muscles or in the cardiac muscles, we can see them. These extend from the base of the pyramid towards the cortex. These are the medullary rays. The last part of the structure of the kidney is the renal sinus. The renal sinus is the compartment inside the kidney which contains the fat and lymphatics, the calyces, arteries, and veins. The main function of the renal sinus is that it provides a cushion against the trauma or insults. Okay, as you can see here, this on this part, not on the upper part, but in between them, this is the renal sinuses, and they contain fat. On the gross specimen, we can also see a yellow colored area which contains fat. This one is the renal sinus. Okay. Here we can see kidneys in like with other organs. This one is the right kidney, and on this part, this one is the left kidney. As you can see on the left kidney, the body of the pancreas passes, and on the right kidney there must be the right lobe of liver. Okay, here you can see all of the other organs and structures. Other part um, other part is the bare areas of the kidney. As I have told, as maybe I have mentioned, that kidneys are retroperitoneal organs. It means that these are located behind the peritoneum. They are not covered by the peritoneum but on the ventral aspect. These are not surrounded by completely by peritoneum. Only the ventral aspect is covered by it. So the bare areas mean that those areas which are not covered by the peritoneum. On both kidneys, there are three bare areas. On the left kidney, this one is the renal, suprarenal area. On the right kidney, it's the same. The suprarenal area, the pancreas, because the pancreas is present here, so there must be no peritoneum. So that pancreas have the space to fit in, and the descending colon. And on the right aspect, the right colic flexure, this one, the like corner in which the ascending colon turns into the transverse colon, and the descending part of duodenum. These are the bare areas of the kidney. Okay. Other thing I want to highlight is that the arrangement of structures in the hilum of the kidney. Hilum of the kidney is the area in which the lymphatics, the arteries, veins, and the ureter is entering or coming out. The vein is entering, the artery is entering, sorry, and the vein, lymphatics, and the ureter is coming out of it. So, kidney arrangement in the hilum of the kidney is, just remember VAP. VAP. By VAP, you can remember it by the mnemonic VAP, and but it's like vape, but it's VAP. VAP, first is the vein on the anterior aspect, on the middle it's the artery, and on the posterior aspect is the pelvis or ureter. Okay, ureter or the pelvis of the kidney. The last part I want to mention here is the blood supply. Most of the students get confused when it comes to the blood supply of the kidney because it's really confusing, but just need to follow the order and it will be clear to you. The renal artery, which is the main branch, which is branching from the abdominal aorta. Okay, renal artery branch from the abdominal aorta opposite to lumbar vertebra 2. Okay, it branch off from abdominal aorta. Clear? After that, the renal artery has many branches. The branch which is going to the kidneys is the segmental branches, not the inferior suprarenal, not the ureteric, not the gonadal, but only the segmental branches are going to the kidneys and supplying them. There are approximately 5 segmental branches. Here you can see the renal artery branching from abdominal aorta. Then comes the segmental arteries. Okay, the segmental arteries form interlobar arteries. Interlobar, not the interlobular. Interlobular arteries come after the arcuate arteries. I will explain them in a minute. Just follow the sequence. Segmental arteries, then interlobar arteries, which are in the lobe of the kidneys, flowing in between the lobes, which are interlobar. Okay, the interlobar arteries divides to form arcuate arteries. Arcuate arteries are the arteries, as the name suggests, just the arc where arches at the junction of cortex and medulla. Okay, here you can see them. They arch over the for example, this one is the assume it's the junction of cortex and medulla, and they arc over it. These are arcuate arteries, and from the arcuate arteries arises the interlobular arteries. Interlobular arteries are not called arteries but called arterioles because they are very tiny vessels which ultimately form the afferent glomerular arterioles. Okay, just zoom into it so the things can become more clear. This one is the arcuate artery. After the arcuate artery, they have skipped a word which is interlobular. Interlobular, then comes the afferent arteriole, and then afferent arteriole forms the glomerular tuft of capillaries and exiting as the efferent arteriole. Okay, this one is the glomerulus. Glomerulus is nothing but the tuft of capillaries which is formed by the afferent arteriole. I will form a separate video on the anatomy of the nephron, but you can appreciate some of the structures like proximal convoluted tubule, the loop of Henle, the distal convoluted tubule, and the collecting tubules. Okay, and I will also clear the term peritubular capillaries and vasa recta. These are different in different types of nephrons. Okay, I hope the blood supply is clear. Just follow the sequence. The renal artery forms segmental branches from the segmental interlobar, then comes the arcuate, then comes the interlobular, then comes the afferent glomerular arteriole, and after that comes the glomerulus. After is efferent arteriole, efferent. Just remember efferent by end. End, end means the end of something, so it means it's exiting, or remember it by exit. Okay, exiting the glomerulus. Like the blood supply of the kidney, the venous drainage is exactly the same. The tributaries which are um, supplying the, not the supplying, because supplying a word is used for the arteries. Venous drainage of the kidney is slightly different in right and left kidneys. Okay, the right kidney, the right renal vein has no tributaries. Okay, it just supplies the kidney and that's it. But in the left side we can see that the left renal vein is also supplying the suprarenal gland, so there must be a suprarenal vein, and a vein is going down and it supplies the gonads like scrotum and labia. These are arising from the left renal vein, not the right one. Right one has no tributaries. Okay, and the venous system is the same, just go in the opposite direction. First is the interlobular veins. Okay, then there is arcuate veins, then there is interlobar veins, then lobar vein, then segmental veins, and draining into the inferior vena cava. Okay, then comes the lymph drainage. uh, I will make separate videos on the lymphatics, but slightly describing here the lymph drainage of the kidney is by the hilar lymph nodes. Hilum of any organ like the hilum of the lung, the hilum of the spleen, the hilum of the kidney is the area where the structures enter or leave that organ. Okay, so there are approximately 4 to 5 renal hilar lymph nodes which are present in the hilum of the kidney, and they must be draining the lymph from inside of the kidney, and they goes to the para-aortic lymph nodes, and the para-aortic lymph nodes, the lymph ascends into the cisterna chyli. Cisterna chyli is the main organ or the structure present in the abdominal area, and it collects most of the lymph from abdominal organs and the lower limbs. And ultimately, the lymph from cisterna chyli is drained into the thoracic duct. I will explain it in the separate video, but lymph drainage of the kidney, just remember cisterna chyli. Okay. Just mentioning some functions of the kidney, as you all know that excretion of waste, regulation of blood pressure, the blood volume, regulation of ions, hormone production. These are some basic functions of the kidney which will be covered in the physiology playlist. Okay, I hope the basics of anatomy of the kidney is clear to you all. So that's it for today, and we will meet in the next video. Till then, goodbye.